Okay, let's talk some. I'm going to perform an experiment. So I've just moved into a new apartment, and as part of settling in, I covered up with little pieces of rectangular opaque paper the green digital clock displays on my microwave and stove. Why would I do such an eccentric thing? Well, I don't really like the clock blinking at me all the time as if to say, so, what have you got to show for yourself, you lazy bum? You ain't getting any younger. I'm not sure why that is, but for whatever reason, constantly being aware of the time amplifies my inner self-critical voice, and I often think of how I could have gotten up earlier and how other people must have been so productive today already, and those sorts of thoughts enter and get louder in my head. So I'll admit, the big reason for this experiment is just to get away from all that negativity. So we could psychoanalyze that, but I think there's more going on here, and that's what I want to talk about. More going on than my idiosyncratic reaction to constantly being aware of the time. And it's hard to articulate, but it's something like this. You don't walk around constantly with a map saying you are here with a big red dot in the middle of it. You know, a map of wherever you are with you are here dot. You know you're here. Same thing with the time. You know it's now. It's always now. So the reason for a map or for a clock is to measure your location or the time in relation to other locations or times. And those are very useful tools. They help you get to where you want to go across space or over time. And they help you plan, and they help you aim, and they help you relate to others in different times and places. They're very useful tools, but they're part of an unhealthy imbalance that we have in modern industrial, scientific, Western society and culture. An unhealthy imbalance that tilts us towards measuring, analyzing, evaluating things rather than direct, simple experience and sensation, and sort of experiencing them in an uncritical way from the inside. And there's a parallel problem between over-reliance on external sources of validity and truth compared to internal ones, especially mind over body. Now the mind is inner, yes, but we too often privilege the one over the other when they need to be held in a balance. So here's an example that gets at a lot of these points. I've been trying this intermittent fasting diet wherein I give myself a certain window of time each day in which to eat. That window begins at 10 a.m. If I wake up and I have to look at the clock, an external measurement of time, to know when I'm allowed to eat, that's okay. We always take environmental stimuli into account from the outside, such as the sun or whatever, when determining our behavior. But if I always and only look at that and I never close my eyes and feel from my gut and ask, am I actually hungry right now? Do I feel hungry down here? Then I'm missing out on a big valid source of information that can help me lead to healthy choices about what to eat. There's a similar example with deciding when to go to sleep and so on and so forth. So the point is that if you're always aware of the time, it's like you're always carrying that map around saying you are here, and you're always looking at a clock saying what time it is. Well, when you measure something like that, you take an outside perspective, and it's harder for you to slide into those immersive flow states you get into when you have no sense of time or place because you're so immersed in a meaningful activity. And in those states is where a lot of good living happens. So constantly having the clock around, I think, predisposes you towards some of these negative social comparisons because it's only about relatedness. They lead you to privilege these external sources, the map and the clock. You mistake them for the only source of truth, whereas no, it's the land, the territory that generates the map. That's what you want to look at, really. And you want to do the equivalent in time, not just space. You want to look at the actual unfolding of time in an organic way. You don't want to just look at the clock. That's a tool of measurement of time, but it's not time itself. And so on. There are these unhealthy imbalances, and I think that covering the clock up can help us tack towards a healthier relationship with time and with space. Now, is that really a solution? No, we can't just schedule meetings at sunrise and sunset and do away with clocks altogether. Of course, I've covered my clocks, but I check the time on my phone all the time, and they're very useful, and I wouldn't do away with them. Here's an example of that. There's this French chronobiologist named Michel Siffre. I think that's how you pronounce it. I have no clue though, really. And in 1982, he spent several months in a cave. No sun, no clocks, no nothing. In terms of environmental information about how the world and life were unfolding. And his inner body clock and circadian rhythms just went haywire. When his research team extracted him in, I think, late September, his journal said August 16th. I mean, he was completely, he'd gone on the fritz in terms of his sense of time. So yes, we need clocks, but also you don't need it always to be telling you exactly what minute it is. If you want to lead a more healthy, balanced, meaningful life, it's really helpful to get some distance from those measurement tools like clocks and maps, because you don't need a clock to tell you what time it is. It's now. It's always now. You don't need a map to tell you where you are. You're here. So in a sense, yes, they're helpful tools, but in another sense, wherever you go, there you are, and whenever you go, then you are. And that's all you need to know.